This is a real legend from Iowa, and it actually made the local newspapers in 1903. Multiple grown men, including a doctor, a banker, and a teacher, all claimed they saw the same thing over several nights. A creature with wings, a horn on its head, and a blinding beam of light coming from its face. It happened in the small town of Van Meter, Iowa. People said it flew over rooftops, perched on buildings, and let out a low, rumbling growl. A few men even shot at it, but the bullets didn't seem to do anything. Here's the creepiest part. It always returned to the same place, an abandoned coal mine just outside town. Eventually, one night, 2 of them appeared. Witnesses said they watched them crawl back into the mine and disappear. The entrance was sealed not long after. To this day, no one knows what the people of Van Meter really saw. Some say it was mass hysteria. Others say something's still down there, and the mine is the only thing keeping it in. Whatever it was, they all agreed it wasn't human. So, I'm probably never volunteering at a corn maze again after what happened last fall. My buddy Jake, he thinks I'm being dramatic, like it was just a bad dream or something. But he wasn't there for the worst part. He didn't see what I saw. It was my senior year and I needed some volunteer hours, for college applications and all that. My friend Sarah was already doing it, so I signed up to help out at this big corn maze, the Harvest Hills Corn Maze, every weekend in October. It's out near Grinnell, just off Old Highway 6. You know the place. They go all out, hay rides, pumpkin patch, the whole deal. At first, it was actually pretty fun. You had little kids running around, families laughing, and they even had a little stand where they sold warm apple cider and those ridiculously huge caramel apples. My main job was usually helping people find their way in, making sure they knew the rules, pointing them towards the emergency exits if they got too lost. Sometimes I'd even throw on a scarecrow costume and jump out at people from behind a cornstalk, just for a quick laugh. Harmless stuff. It was a Saturday night. I think it was around the 3rd weekend of October. The sun was definitely going down, painting the sky that deep orange and purple over the endless fields. Most of the little kids, the ones who got tired easy, had already left. We were starting to do our last rounds, making sure everyone was out before we officially closed up for the night. This one family came through right before closing. A mom and a dad and their little boy. He was maybe 6 or 7, super excited, practically bouncing in these bright, almost neon red sneakers. I remember the mom even made a comment about them, how he loved those shoes and insisted on wearing them everywhere. I saw them head into the maze, the kid already a few steps ahead. Then, about 20 minutes later, the parents came out. But the kid wasn't with them. The mom looked a little worried, a quiet kind of worried, like, "Has our son come out yet? Caleb?" And I'm like, "No, ma'am, I haven't seen him." They told me he'd run ahead of them a little, maybe gotten impatient, and they just figured he'd popped out the exit. We waited a bit, maybe 5, maybe 7 minutes, but he didn't show. That's when we started to really get freaked out. My boss, Mr. Henderson, he's usually pretty chill, a big guy who laughs a lot. But even he looked genuinely worried. He grabbed his walkie-talkie, but the signal in the maze can be spotty. We waited a few more minutes, called out Caleb's name, but nothing came back. Just the rustle of the dry corn in the rising wind. So, Mr. Henderson, Sarah, and we grabbed our biggest flashlights and went into the maze to look for him. It was getting really dark now, that deep twilight where shadows play tricks, and the cornstalks felt so incredibly tall and close, like green walls closing in around us. It was hard to see anything beyond a few feet in front of the beam of light. We walked through the main path, yelling his name, but it was just silence, a heavy, swallowing kind of silence. Then, like maybe 10-15 minutes in, we heard something. It was faint, really faint, almost like it was carried on the wind, but it sounded like a little kid crying, a thin, reedy sound. It was coming from the very center of the maze, where they had this small, open clearing with a little pumpkin patch. We rushed over there, pushing through the thick, dry stalks, the leaves scratching against our jackets. And that's when we saw it. Right in the middle of that clearing, just sitting there. 2 sets of shoes. One pair was those bright neon red sneakers the little boy, Caleb, was wearing. They were sitting there, perfectly clean, like they'd just been taken off. And right next to them was another pair. These were like muddy and old-looking, scuffed up, with cracked laces, but they were definitely kid-sized too. And here's the thing that still haunts me, that still wakes me up sometimes. We only sold one kid's ticket to that family that night. So, where did the other pair come from? And why were they both just sitting there with no kids anywhere? No Caleb, nothing. We didn't find the kid, not then, not ever. The police came from the Poweshiek County Sheriff's Office, and they searched for days. They brought dogs, even a drone, but they found no trace of him. My friend Jake thinks it was just some creepy coincidence that maybe another kid lost his shoes earlier in the season and nobody noticed until then. But those shoes were fresh. They looked like they'd been taken off moments before we got there. And why 2 pairs? Who leaves their shoes in the middle of a cornfield? I'm still not sure what happened out there in the Harvest Hills maze. I mean, I know how this sounds, like some made-up campfire story, but how do 2 sets of shoes just show up in the middle of a corn maze with no kids around? I haven't been back to that maze since. And honestly, I don't think I ever will. Every time I drive by those fields, even now, it still gives me chills just thinking about it. Sometimes, I still wonder about those other shoes. Look, you guys, I know how this sounds, but I swear I haven't been the same since. This thing that happened to me, driving the shuttle late at night, it still gives me nightmares. My friend Sarah says I'm just stressed, but she wasn't out there. She didn't see him night after night. I got this part-time gig driving the late-night college shuttle for Iowa Central Community College. It's usually pretty chill, honestly. Most nights, it's just a few sleepy students heading back to the dorms in Fort Dodge, maybe someone who stayed too long at the library, or a couple of kids heading back from a party off campus. I mostly just listen to podcasts and try not to fall asleep at the wheel. The route's pretty set, goes all over campus, then out to a few of the off-campus apartments, and then it loops back. Nothing too wild ever happens. It was probably my 3rd or 4th week on the job. I think it was a Tuesday, maybe. Anyway, I was doing the very last loop, the one that goes way out past the old farm fields before coming back towards the dorms. It's usually totally empty out there, just dark roads and cornfields. But I started noticing this guy. He was always at the same stop, out on some county road where there's literally nothing but a beat-up old mailbox and a busted fence. It was near Creek Road, if you know it, just a desolate stretch. And he was always there, no matter what time it was. The first time, I figured, okay, maybe he missed a bus, or maybe he's waiting for someone. He was just standing there, kind of hunched over, looking down the road. He had on this old, brownish-green jacket, even though it wasn't that cold out, and a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. I slowed down, pulled over, and opened the door. You know, hey, you waiting for the shuttle? He didn't look up, just shook his head a little. No words, I was like, oh, okay, weirdo. So I just closed the door and drove off. I mean, what else am I supposed to do? Then it happened again the very next night. Same guy, same stop, same exact time. I pulled over again, thinking maybe he just didn't hear me or something. Hey, you need a ride? Again, just a head shake. Still looking at the ground. This time, I paid a little more attention. He wasn't, fidgeting or anything, just standing perfectly still. It was starting to get a little creepy, honestly. I probably should have left right then, but I figured, whatever, maybe he's just some regular out there, like waiting for a friend who never shows up. But it kept happening. Every single night for what felt like a week straight. Or maybe 2 weeks? I don't know, it all kind of blurs together now. No matter if my shift started earlier or if I had to do an extra run and was out there later, he was always there. Just standing. Never getting on, never looking at me, just staring at the ground, or maybe his feet, I don't even know. It really started giving me the creeps. One night, it was really foggy, like super thick fog. You could barely see 10 feet in front of the bus. I was driving slow, maybe 15 miles an hour, straining to see the road. And then, through the thick swirling fog, I saw him. Same spot, same hunched-over way of standing. This time, I didn't even slow down, I just kept going. My heart was absolutely pounding, honestly. I just wanted to get past him and get back to campus. But as I passed him, I swear to God, I heard something. It was like a whisper, or a really soft, dry scratch right outside my driver's side window. And then, something thumped on the side of the bus. Not hard, more like a soft, dull bump. I totally freaked out. I gripped the wheel tight and just floored it. I didn't look in the rearview mirror, I just kept driving until I was back on campus, where the lights were bright and there were other people around. I pulled into the depot and practically ran out of the bus. I know how this sounds, but I swear, I went back to the bus after my shift just to check. And there was this smudge on the window where I heard the scratch. Like a faint handprint, but it looked really old and faded, like it had been there for ages. And then, I saw it. On the side of the bus near the back wheel well, there was a small, clean dent. Like something had hit it, but not hard enough to do real damage. Just a precise little dent. I haven't seen him since. I mean, I requested a different route immediately. My boss thinks I'm just being, overly cautious, or that I hit a branch or something. But I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. I'm still not sure what happened out there near Creek Road. Maybe I was just paranoid, but I'm not going back to that route. And I definitely don't want to drive late at night anymore. It just gives me the jitters now. Every time I hear a weird noise when I'm driving, I think of him. You really have to hear this. Seriously, I haven't slept right in weeks, and I don't even know who else to tell. My buddy Mark thinks I'm losing it, but I swear, on everything, what happened in that basement, it was real. So, I got this job, right? Part-time janitor at the old Pottawatomie County Courthouse in Council Bluffs. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills while I figure out what I'm doing with my life. Most nights, it's pretty boring. Just emptying trash cans, mopping floors, cleaning toilets. The building's old, really old. Creaky floors, weird smells sometimes. But it's usually empty after hours, so it's quiet, which is nice. There's this basement, though. It's super old, older than the main building, I think. Most of it's just storage for old files and dusty furniture. Not really spooky, just kind of musty. But there's this one section way in the back that's blocked off. It's got this heavy metal door, like a vault door, and it's always locked. I never really thought about it much, just figured it was for, really old evidence or something the county stored away. One night, I was down there, cleaning out some storage rooms, and I noticed something weird. Behind a stack of old file boxes, almost hidden, there was this locker. Not like the normal metal lockers in the break room, but an old, dark green one. It looked like it hadn't been touched in 50 years, and it had this huge, rusted padlock on it. I probably should have just left it alone, but I'm curious. And it looked really old, like something out of a history book. So, for a few nights, I'd bring down my tools and mess with that lock. I tried a few things, like prying it, but it was really on there. Then, one night I had this old, really strong pair of bolt cutters from home. I mean, they were probably too big for a normal padlock, but I figured why not? I squeezed the handles and man, it took some effort, but that thing finally snapped open with a loud, echoing clang in the quiet basement. My heart was pounding seriously. I opened the locker door slow, like I was expecting something to jump out at me. And you know what was inside? Nothing crazy, no skeletons, no gold, just one thing. Hanging on a hook. It was an old uniform, like an old janitor's uniform. It was faded, kind of a weird greenish-gray color, stiff with age, and it had an old, crinkled name tag pinned to it. I picked it up, and the plastic was yellowed and cracked. I wiped off the dust, and I swear I almost dropped it. The name on the tag was mine. Like, my exact name, first and last. It wasn't a common name either, not like John Smith or something. It was my name. I totally freaked out. I mean, I just stared at it for what felt like forever. Then, I just slammed the locker door shut, left the uniform inside, and got out of that basement as fast as I could. I locked up the locker with a new padlock I had, just a regular one, but I didn't even look at the uniform again. I haven't told anyone at work about it. My friend Mark thinks I'm just making things up because I was bored down in the basement. But it's my name, you know? And it was in a locker that had been sealed for probably decades in the county courthouse. I'm still not sure what happened. Was it a joke? Is it just some super weird coincidence? I still work there, and every time I go into that basement I can't help but look at that locker, and I get this weird feeling like someone's watching me. Maybe I was just paranoid, but I don't know. It really messed with my head,